Find yourself scrolling through Instagram at work, laughing at memes uncontrollably that feel like they were meant specifically for you? Today we have Marcus, who is the mastermind behind those viral memes that turn work stress into moments of joy. But how did he get from not your average coward to building a thriving community that laughs and follow along with him? Let's hear directly from Marcus on how can you use humor in your own life to tackle workplace burnout and stress.
Hi, I'm Claude.
And I'm Jess.
We are corporate employees by day, entrepreneurs by night, and work besties for life.
Join us as we explore how work besties lift each other up, laugh through the chaos, and thrive together in every industry.
Work besties!
Hey, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Hi.
Welcome to Work Besties. How are you
Thanks
doing
for
today?
having me. I'm doing great. I love you called me a mastermind. That's really sweet. I'm going to put that in my email signature now.
That's your new title.
Mastermind.
Yeah, just
Mastermind.
mastermind. That is perfect.
Marcus, we're so excited to have you today. One of the things that I think intrigued us most about you and your content is how it really makes us laugh, but at the same time think, because you're providing a real life example of some of the moments that we go through in work.
It goes right there.
Can you provide a little bit of the background on how you got to that place?
I really credit this all to my wife. My wife is a really good support, so she lets me do these silly things throughout the evening and like on the weekends. But one of my good friends, she was like, "You should go on Instagram," because I actually never went on social media. And she's like, "You should be on social media." And I was like, "Well, here's the deal. If you can come up with a clever handle for me, I'll start going on social media." So she sent me a couple of names, and then she sent me Not Your Average Coward. And that's pretty much the reason why I started getting on Instagram. And then it expanded into me dabbling into some parent content and then millennial and now work content, which has really taken off for me. But really the hidden truth of why I'm starting to make content so much more now, which is kind of funny, is I'm a huge super fan of Survivor. And I did it to also stalk the Survivor casting reps so I can get their attention. And now it's become that.
It's so funny you bring
because
that up because that's literally my second question to you is going to be like, I've seen you've applied to Survivor a few times. So what's the story there? And are you still trying to get on there?
I am still trying to get on. I'm going to apply again for this next like couple of rounds of seasons. I really started doing this Instagram and my handle for now like stress relief. It's been like an outlet for me for like creative outlet, but also it's just to stalk and annoy all the casting reps for Survivor so that I can get their attention.
Are any of them following you thus far? Not-
I actually have a handful of Survivor contestants that follow me, and I've chatted with them before,
Okay.
but none of the casting directors. I just kind of tag them a bunch and probably annoy them.
We'll make sure we tag them as
Yes,
well.
we'll tag
We'll
them.
make sure to it's going to be it. You'll get it. After this podcast, you'll be able to make it.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm
that
just gonna
means
keep
that
trying.
if he
I'm
does
just gonna keep
that, then
trying.
we
So
should do like the Amazing Race or something.
Oh my God, that would be so
yes.
funny.
Oh my goodness, work besties to Amazing Race. That is,
Meanwhile, I'll be behind.
I was going to say we wouldn't last the first day.
You will last.
You have to do it with your partner. I
I
can't
know,
leave
but you will last. I want.
That's not how it
You
works.
will switch. You switch one bestie in the middle.
That's the wrong show. That's Survivor. I can't just win you. My Lord, what is happening here? So you're going to be on Survivor.
that's how I started developing the handle, and I just started experimenting. I started making like really cheesy like parent content where I would like dress myself up as a toddler. So if you scroll like really deep into all my videos, you'll start finding some of it. And then I got into the work content, and then the community and the work content niche. They're just like super, super awesome. Even the parent one. So I just started talking with them more, and then it just started taking off. So I just kept doing it. And I kind of make fun of the same things I run into life and in the corporate world. So I've done marketing, real estate, and now I currently work in the insurance industry as a catastrophe adjuster or in the catastrophe department. So I deal with chaos literally every single day. the only way to get through most of it is just kind of making fun of all the situations you run into.
And do sometimes some of your coworker see one of the memes like that was an example of that day, etc. Do they relate really of a real?
There's been a few. So if you notice my content now, I do not use any names. Like now I'll use a name like your coworker, the lantern, who always has to be carried
Mhm.
because they're not bright. Like I start using like terms like that because I accidentally used a generic name and I wasn't thinking, and it was one of my coworkers' name. And I actually
Oh,
got pulled into HR because they
no.
thought I was making videos about my coworkers. My company does know I make videos. They're very good about it. I
Okay.
follow all our social media guidelines, but now they think it's funny and
Okay.
they kind of send me ideas now and they can kind of relate. I can totally feel that situation. And even like if I do work trips, I'll like delay when I send them. So I'll wait like
Oh,
2 or 3 weeks before I post a video.
got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't do it real time just in case.
Yeah,
But they know
Well,
they
now
know
they
they
now.
do
know.
know now.
Well,
And
Maybe you do
delete
a
quick.
month now.
Yeah, just postpone this for a month.
got a couple trips going on. So Marcus, you do then, you're saying, have a full-time job in top of being a content creator.
My background for the past almost 10 years now, I've been in catastrophe for property and commercial. So wildfires, tornadoes, hurricanes, all that. I help assist with those. I do a lot of training now, but boots on the ground. So we're sometimes out there 21 days at a time trying to get people back in order. I end up doing that and then filming all this stuff like in between whenever I get an idea. I get inspiration from other content creators and then
Mhm.
I'll adapt it to what's kind of going on, even in my industry or my life. I have so many little notes. My draft list is ridiculous. My phone pops up and says memory is full because I have so many random drafts that I film, and I'm like, maybe not yet. I'll wait because this one might get me in trouble. Which is why I started a TikTok because I feel like I can put my more riskier stuff on there.
Interesting.
That's
Nice little tip there for those that are fans of you to make sure to get on TikTok.
Yeah.
to have the more underground one.
That's funny because we talk about that too, how each of the different social mediums can have places for it where you do want a little bit more. I feel like YouTube tends to have more of those tips. On TikTok, you can kind of let it fly where it's a little bit more
Or
funny.
Yeah, I feel like you can like push the edge a little bit. And that's when I
Yeah.
feel like I can post real time situations. Like if I get off a meeting and I'm like getting off the meeting, I'm literally thinking, this couldn't have been an email. Or there is the one video I made where I sent an email out and right after I sent it, we got a meeting request for the whole team. And I knew it was my fault because I'm the one who asked the question. And I was like, all you had to do was respond back to me. We didn't have to make this an hour-long meeting.
So meanwhile, you make a meme about it, but your whole team is like, "But you're the problem."
Yeah, usually I'm the problem.
Big segue into the power of humor in the workplace. 'Cause I feel like based off of your content, humor has kind of a unique way for you anyway to make a situation less stressful. Um, how do you think that your work memes help other people? Or do you think there's ways you can leverage things like work memes for stress reduction, for thinking about how to be less burnt out, that type of thing?
I feel when you start making fun of a situation, it kind of drops everyone's guard a little bit. And then they feel like it's like I've had coworkers that like when they find me, they can approach me and they go, yeah, that reminds me of this one meeting. Or even when like you're in the office and you're joking with your work bestie or you're kind of like in a meeting and you can kind of tell like everything is just too serious. I feel like once you make that wise comment or you kind of make fun of a situation, it almost helps you build, especially during work trauma, when they always talk about trauma buddies,
Yeah.
I feel like my trauma work bestie usually comes because I made fun of a situation at work and they're like, yes, I
Yeah.
feel the same way. And then I'm like, oh, you like that humor too? Well, then I got another one for you. And then you get that 5 to 10 minutes, especially if you're in the office or if you work from home and you call your coworker after a stressful meeting. You can just remove yourself from the situation for 5 minutes, or depending on the work bestie, it might be 30 minutes to an hour. But you get that time to decompress and then be like, okay, I can deal with this next task or customer or this one-on-one meeting I have with my manager. Because you kind of just get that stress off of you for a little while.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how the humor helps because if we start to take ourselves way too seriously, which I used to do early on in my career, I started to burn out so much. I felt making fun of situations made me aware of boundaries I need to make for myself and my family. Even when I train, it's funny. In a training class, I will tell them, I'll go through the whole topic of situation. I'll say, hey, if you ever need any help, please hesitate to call. It, it makes them laugh, and I'm always there to help them out. But it like decompresses. But I'm starting to let them know that I do set boundaries, and I even tell my coworkers I actually end my day. I'm lucky enough to end my day at 3:30. If you try to call me at 3:31, you are not going to get me.
Maybe not even at 3:29.
Mentally at 2:30, I'm already done.
Talking, you've been saying several times about work bestie. Do you have a work bestie? And what does it give you in your work?
I have work besties that currently work at the company, and I have a few that left that I still chat to. One of my work besties, I think we chat almost every day or every other day. And it usually starts off early in the morning and it goes, and I'm like, let it out. And then we just start going for it. But lately we vent about stress at work. We also started to talk a lot about boundaries because I feel like with every corporation, I feel boundaries are starting to get pushed of personal boundaries and what's good for you, what's good for the company, but also how to stay healthy. Because once you start getting too stressed out, your health really starts going down. We always talk about what's the best way to set boundaries at work.
That's a really good one to have as a key focus. In fact, that's our focus for this season is wellness, and how can you take those couple moments of pause to really reflect on the importance of you
and not feeling guilty about it. And I think that is something also that when we had Gen X mom, she actually said that the Gen Z,
they have
really,
right.
they know the boundary. We don't, so I think that learning from them is so important. That it's okay.
It's so true because I feel like mentally I had it in my mind. I want to do that, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. And then I see some of the Gen Zs and they just do it. And I'm like, well, I'm just doing it too. And then I'll just go ahead and take my.
Why am I saying this? Yeah.
I'm like, vibe is off. I'm going to go get a coffee. I'll see you later. So here's a question to put you on the spot. What kind of boundaries have you set for yourself at work?
Wow. I'll get back to you because I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Walk the talk or whatever it is. What about you, Jess?
That's a good question. I think there's always more boundaries I can draw, but I think I've been much better about establishing what really can get done in a work week versus not. Because there's a lot of times you get thrown a million things and you have to turn around and be like, okay, so that means something else on our plate's off, at least for this week. So I've been much better about pushing back on that and then holding my team accountable because workloads need to be balanced. I've been very crystal clear on establishing that on Monday morning, we all talk about what else is on our plate and we reestablish workload. I appreciate my coworkers and my teammates who shut down at 5, 6 o'clock because I feel you have to have a life. If you don't, your work suffers too.
I do kind of, so help me prioritize. It's more or less showing, look, that's all that I cannot do everything, but I'm a work in progress, I have to say.
We're all work in progress.
Everyone is, yeah. That's good, though.
I'm going to use a perfect term to circle back on your question. One thing I do with boundaries, which is kind of funny, which like lightens the load when I'm confronting someone in management when they're trying to give me too much. Because some people do know I joke around. So I'll literally tell them if they give me too much, I'm like, okay, so do you want me to do this task or do you want me to go ahead and cut the tree down, build the house, make the paper, build the computer, or you want me to handle this one project? And I say it jokingly, and then they catch that they've given me a little too much and they'll laugh at it. And different managers I have, they'll laugh at it and be like, oh, I guess I have given you a lot. So just focus on this. Let's prioritize this project and we'll just kind of let some of this go. So humor has been my way to like scapegoat how I'm truly feeling about like a situation so I can make it more lighthearted, which I have other coworkers, like one of my work besties is straightforward. Like they can just go and be like, no, this is not right. This is how it is. You can't do this to me. where I tend to be kind of like do a little like dance and like make you laugh and smile and then be like, can we change this up? And then they're like, yeah, that's fine.
You're both doing it in your own
Yeah.
authentic way.
I
I think
Yeah.
like
that's
your
smart.
way. I like your way.
Well, neither way is right or wrong. It's just what you feel more authentic doing.
I know, but I do like this.
I feel like it fits my personality a little bit more. I feel like anytime I come off stern, people are like,
Yeah, I feel
did you
like
have a
that's
bad
what you
day?
came in hard and you were like,
They would
what
be
do you want me
like,
to take
okay,
off?
what's
They're like,
wrong?
whoa.
Whoa, okay, is he quitting? Is he leaving me?
I do use humor slightly differently than you in that because, like, when to my team come to me, here's the 20 things you've just assigned me, and you said they're all due by Friday. But the reality is, I can only get two. Which two are more important? I usually make a joke to give them a moment of pause to be like, okay, nothing's that bad. Let's take a step back. We're not solving cancer, so like let's think realistically. So I do think humor helps in both ways, right? Even the person that is straightforward, it can help them kind of, okay, yeah, I'm with you now. I get why you asked me to do these things, and I do have autonomy to make the right call of which is more important.
Oh, that's so true. So that's a perfect example of what happened today. So I also train and I had someone reach out and they're they're off today and they're trying to finish this assignment and I'm telling them this is
Yeah.
not life or death. It's going to be okay. It can wait till Monday. You don't have to take a day off to finish work. I feel that is like the most upwards waste of time of your PTO. When I tell anyone I train, I'm like, if you take your time and take your time, don't do work. Close that computer, turn off the work phone, stuff it in a drawer, put it in the trunk, whatever you need to do not answer it.
Right. No, I think that's smart because if you don't take your work, like your downtime for just you, then there is no boundaries. Everybody's just
Yes.
feeling like
Yeah.
they can come to you at any point in time.
And especially now with all those remote, right? There's no boundary. There's like even like snow days, right? Snow days is over. We are the last
Yes.
generation that knew about or maybe the millennial, what snow days were, where you couldn't
What are
work
snow
because
days?
you didn't have a
No, I'm just
computer.
messing.
You could play with your kids in this, and whatever. Yeah, it's a very hard. I think you need a lot of discipline to, a lot of people say you need a lot of discipline to be able to work at home or whatever. I think it's, at least for me, sometimes you need a lot of discipline not to work all the time, right?
I'm lucky enough to work from home, so I do get to work remotely. Early in my career, the first 2 years were like the biggest learning curve because it didn't help that I didn't have a designated space that I actually made like where I work. It was just like on the kitchen table. So I worked nonstop. It would be after dinner, late in the evening. Like I would be like, oh, I forgot I had to do this. And then I would go back and open the computer. It took me a few years, but now, literally, I was saying before, as soon as it hits 3:30, I am already walking out of where my computer is. It's getting thrown in the truck or like in a book bag, and I'm not looking at it until the next.
Okay, that's so
That I
smart.
think is great.
That's a great tip. So speaking of tips, do you have any other tips that help with de-stressing?
Yes, besides laughing, which is always key. So I'm very lucky. My wife works in corporate wellness. She has a company called Yoga Nut Wellness, and then she does videos on demand. So it's like Yoga Nut on demand. So there's two different accounts. So there's some good resources on there. But the ones I use, especially in my line of work, because I'm just dealing with chaos all the time and stressful situations. I do a breath work that I like to use, and it's all through the nose. So it's inhale and exhale out the nose. It takes 1 to 2 minutes. It's an instant calm kind of thing. So when you do it, you inhale space, and then you exhale. And when you exhale, it's to release and let go. So it's space, release, let go. And you do that for like a minute or two straight. And I do that quite a bit just to kind of relax.
Mhm.
Or before I go on a podcast or a meeting, like I'll do that to calm myself down. um, And then the favorite one I like to do, especially when like I'm training, I make all my trainees do this when we go up the home office. It's like like just shake it out, like just kind of like shake your body, or kind of like tap yourself, and just when you feel stressed, you just kind of shake your body out. It works.
It does.
So I do that, and then a lot of walking meetings. I'll just walk outside. So,
Oh,
but the first two are my favorite.
it's during COVID, I did a lot of walking meetings. I haven't done any
I
since
started
then.
walking again on the treadmill.
Right, but I think he's saying like during the day, like to help with the alleviation of stress, walking while you're in a
During the
meeting. That should be brought back. Those were great. I
Yeah,
love
and
it.
it's funny too because like I'll be walking. So I live in the mountains, so I have a lot of nature around me. So every time I'm on a meeting, they're like, "Okay, that must be Marcus in the background," because you'll hear the birds like
I was gonna say the
tweeting
huffing
and
makes
going
you out of
crazy.
breath.
You can also hear me out of breath, just kind of like I'm de-stressing during that meeting because I might be frustrated. The funniest one was I was doing a walking meeting, and in Western North Carolina, we have black bears. They're not dangerous. You just kind of like shoo them along. I was like talking, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna have to go," and they're like, "Why are you gonna go?" And I was like, "Well, there's a black bear," and they thought I was just joking. I was like, "No, seriously, I'm gonna have to get off because there's a black bear, and I have to move."
Oh my god. Oh, I can't.
For us, it would be, I have to go. There's a rat.
They're like a cockroach the size of a black bear. Wow. Yeah, that's very different than our experience.
Yeah, that's a great way of doing your meeting.
There
Yeah,
we
see,
go.
one of the calls that I was on recently with somebody, they were riding a city bike
That too.
and they got hit by a car. Like
Oh
somebody
no!
opened up the taxi door and you could hear them go, "Whoa!" They were fine. Nothing happened to them. They were totally fine.
Oh,
But
you have to tell me
I
who it
think
is
the bike
after.
got destroyed.
Now
So
I'm
yeah,
starting to think. I'm like, can I recreate that into a video now when you're late to work?
because they were
And then
answering a question and they were like, and then you go like, and you could hear them like huffing. I was like, "Are you on a city bike?" And they were like, "Yes." And then you just heard, "Whoa!"
yeah, I feel like my next video is gonna be that, and then they get up and do like an instant calm breath, and we're like, let
Yes.
it go.
And then take the call and finish answering.
Yeah, they take the call. Will you guys cameo in it?
Yes. Let's bring it back. So a lot of this is dealing with stress or stressful situations. But one of the things you also highlighted is work-life balance, because you have a full-time job and you're a content creator. How do you manage it all?
Yeah, and I'm still working on trying to manage it all. So I have 3 kids as well. Me and my wife have 3 kids, all under the age of 10.
Yeah.
We're still in the swing with our youngest because he's 2.5. So we're still struggling to sleep through the night. We're almost there. So it got to a point where like that's where some of my jokes come from is really setting those boundaries because I started to realize, especially with like nothing for work, like trying to be present for family. I'm one of those people where I work to just pay for the things I love to do. Work is not my life. Um, so I try to find ways to kind of squeeze it in. So with content creation, if it's during my lunch break or a quick breather, I'll actually start filming something on the go or even driving to pick up the kids. If I have an idea, I'll just start snapping B footage and film myself. So that way I'm kind of condensing content creation and work almost at the same time. So that way when I shut off, I can try to be present at home because one of my biggest release too, besides making people laugh or thinking I make people laugh, is cooking. So I like to cook dinner. Me and my kids will cook together and then just trying to be present for those moments because I'm starting to realize I only have those moments for a short time. Especially my oldest who is 10, like he's 10 now all of a sudden. And I'm like, whoa, when did this happen? And it wasn't until recently I started realizing that I can't do everything perfect. And some things are going to have to fail. If
And
I'm
it's
going
okay.
to choose, yes, and it's definitely
It's
okay. And
okay.
that's for anyone listening. If anyone's saying they're doing it all and it's perfect, it's not. Like some things you just have to compromise and let go. So it changes per day, per hour, where I just realize that no matter what I'm doing, if it's the podcast, my family knows like I'm going to be present for this right now. But then once I'm off, I might just be present. Dinner time is present, or bath time, or game time, or when I'm at work, I got to finish this. Like, this is what I got to be present for. It's always a work in progress, but it's always just trying to find compromise where you can and just try to be present as much as you can be in the moment.
Yeah. I think this is where it goes back to your comment of you've got to give yourself respect to do that too. There are times where you have to retrain your brain, right? Because even when you're with your kids, you're sometimes still thinking about work or you're thinking of an idea. Oh, this would be another great content creation. You have to constantly give yourself the pause. It's okay to wander, but bring yourself back.
Yes. And it's okay just to not do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would just call into work and be like, I just can't today. And I'll even tell my kids sometimes, like I'll get overstimulated, which parent doesn't get overstimulated? But I'll get overstimulated. I'm like, Daddy needs like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. I do that a lot.
That was when it was like my bedroom. That is my time. Like at night,
You could
when
just go
it's
in
like,
there.
I'm like, that's it, no more. Nobody
Yeah.
comes to in there. It's my time.
My favorite videos that I make is the me time that you have. Then the next morning you just complain that you're tired. And I feel like as parents or even like work individuals, but even as parents, like once everyone's in bed, I'll grab my glass of wine or my snack and like doom scroll or watch my show or
Yes.
read.
Mine is watching endless Netflix shows. I don't know
Yes,
why.
I will do it all the time. I will complain about it and then I will make another video about it.
Yes, that is true. The next morning you go, man, I'm so tired. Or people are like, did you work less? And I'm like, no, not at all.
I know there's that funny video where it was like, you're tired, you've been stressed out, and you're not getting enough sleep. Did you think about just going to bed early?
No.
No, that's my time.
Which I did go to bed early one time, and then I was like, oh, it does help.
Wow, that's what I look like without bags under my eyes. Thanks.
Speaking about kids, what is very sad is that my time was going to the supermarket.
Oh, the relaxing, just getting that out of the house.
Getting out of the house and like,
Yeah.
especially when they are young or whatever, that was going to Target or supermarket. That was my time.
I just picture you like driving really slow and being like, sorry, they were just stalking. I was just waiting for them to put it on the shelf.
There was so much traffic.
Wait, were you the one that hit my coworker? Is that?
Actually, I'm going to say one thing though. I used to go, sometimes we were going out for work or whatever. And when it sounds terrible, but when my son was like maybe 2 or 3, and he had like really a bedtime, right? I used to live across the street from a park. So when it was 8:30, I knew that it would be the time to get ready to go to bed. I didn't want to do it because I had just come from a nice dinner. So I was waiting in the park.
Oh, for someone else to put your kid to bed?
For my husband to put the kid to bed. So I was waiting about 20 minutes.
Just sitting in the park?
Because I'm like, in the night every single day. So for once I'm going out, I'm going to wait.
That's a good one for you. It's like the person who sits in the car outside the house.
That's an example of the meme.
Yeah. And you see the kids like looking through the blinds. Is that mommy?
Yeah, like I see her on that park bench.
The kid's hand just reaching through.
So work-life balance is always a work in progress. One of the things that I think does help us is bringing it back to your work memes is some of the stuff that you provide, the content you put out there. We talk about how on the wellness side, you don't have to run for half an hour or take your walk for half an hour. Sometimes it is just
laughing.
2 or 3 minutes of looking at memes and laughing.
Yeah.
And I feel like
and just being present in that moment to like take that breather. And then even if it's just like a quick breath, a quick walk, a quick stretch, like just taking that time truly helps for you to start decompressing and take a step back so that way you're not feeling that overwhelm of the job just sitting on your shoulder and pressing you down.
And also sending each other, right? How many memes did we of your memes we sent each other back and forth? You know, this is me. This is what happened. This today, etc. That what and it's nice. It becomes also that community. We are all in the same. We all have the same issue. We have, all the same problem.
Relatable.
It's so relatable.
From your perspective, because your stuff does hold true across so many different industries. How do you see your content evolving?
I'm going to start branching out. I want to try a few different styles because I always get jealous, like looking at other content creators and just like trying to expand. I definitely want to include more millennial and parent kind of like humor stuff.
Okay.
But I also want to kind of like branch into like this like breaking the fourth wall kind of style where it's more so like we're talking like this, like I'm talking to my viewers, to my followers. I want to try to like experiment with that. I'm starting to take it a little bit more serious. I think with some content creators, I'm lucky enough that like I'm starting to get a couple of deals. So then I was like, well, wait a minute, like this could actually be something. So now I'm structuring it in my mind. This could be something that could lead and open doors to something else. Taking it slightly more serious since I've started to get some more opportunities lately. And for anyone making content, and it really doesn't matter the size. If you could resonate with someone, like I remember when I only had like 300 and something followers, I was just like throwing stuff out there. But what was kind of cool is I was getting messages, even like from the same one or two people or my mom, just being like, "Oh, I totally get it." It made me feel better. But I actually ended up getting one of my first deals when I had just a few hundred followers. And I was like, "Oh, this is cool." But then it just kind of slowly picked up. And I was like, well, maybe.
Mhm.
And it took until like, I think a year now, a year later, where I'm like, well, maybe I should start making this a little bit more serious. So I started looking into like changing the production style a little bit, kind of playing around
Okay.
with some other footage. So there's more to come.
Yay.
I
We're
can't wait.
we're excited to see
Can't
it
wait.
unfold too.
And some collaborations are to come. So I'm going to be working with some other content creators, which I'm really excited about.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Very
Can't wait.
exciting.
And around when, in how many months will that come?
I would say you might see some new stuff in the next few weeks. So I've already started kind of like filming some stuff. This is like a little teaser. And watch now that I do this. I'm actually trying to make like, you know, those like medical prescription infomercials.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I'm going to make one that's kind of like similar to that. So we'll see how that works out.
I can't wait.
So, Mark, this has been so lovely. We so appreciate you being here. I did want to ask, because we brought it up in the very beginning, we wanted you to answer for our audience. How do you feel you can use humor to help tackle workplace burnout and stress?
I was mentioning before, the humor part, if you're a humorous person, or if you have that coworker that is a funny person, or even if it's sharing memes back and forth, you can almost use that as an avenue of that laughter release to kind of relax and get that out there. But I think it's a good way to like start exposing things that might be happening even in your own corporation. And that's why I like some of these memes that everyone make. And you start to see like the overlapping themes. But I feel like if you kind of bring that up in a meeting or with like coworkers and like it starts to get known, like, look at this. I feel like it can kind of shine a light on the issues that are even happening at your current workplace. And it's a light way for change can happen.
Mhm.
Because I've made plenty of jokes even in my current company, and then like some changes started to happen. So I think by using that humor, you can start to bridge gaps to make new work besties. Oh no, there it is. To make new work besties, but then also just kind of expose what's going on and be able to laugh, talk, and that talking about just laughing about the situation, you can actually start thinking about results. We've had memes that we sent before and be like, oh, doesn't this remind you about so and so or that situation? And then you're like, wouldn't it be great if like they would have did XYZ? And then you're like, wait a minute, you could do XYZ and that would fix the problem. So I feel like sometimes the humor can help bring along some solutions.
Love
Yeah.
that. Marcus, thank you so much. Before we close out, we did want to ask, how can people follow you? Where should they be looking?
Yeah, so I'm mostly on Instagram at Not Your Average Coward. You can use the same handle on TikTok and YouTube. I'm starting to try to put some of the stuff on there, so you can find me on those three platforms and Facebook. Still all the same handle. I was able to lock them all down, so just find me on any of those,
Right.
and hopefully I'll make you laugh.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, to all our work besties, if you're ready to lighten up and really want to laugh about work, about life, please make sure to follow Marcus for more laugh. And in the meantime, don't forget to listen,
Subscribe.
like, and subscribe. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye
you.
next time.
Remember, whether you're swapping snacks in the break room, rescuing each other from endless meetings, or just sending that perfectly timed meme, having a work bestie is like having your own personal hype squad.
So keep lifting each other up, laughing through the chaos, and of course, thriving. Until next time, stay positive, stay productive, and don't forget to keep supporting each other.